walk the path of recovery and to ensure resilience, we must espouse a 3P approach. That is preservation, protection, and prudent management of public resources. The challenge of our country begins with the way we use public resources. That's why I'm recommending that 3P approach. I came here specifically to ask you, Mr. Chairman, when is ISPAC going to join the war against corruption? When is ISPAC going to join the rest of us in fighting corruption in the public sector in our country? Because you asked me to talk about the role of professionals in effective delivery in the coordination of services. One role is that we must all join government and help my sister here, the Auditor General, and help my sister, the Controller of Budget, in fighting corruption. We will not preserve, we will not protect, and we will not prudently use public resources if we do not stand up and fight corruption in public service. The challenge of this country, let me be frank with you, my brothers and sisters. Our problems, if you are to list them, number 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 is corruption, number 2 is corruption, and number 3 is corruption. That we all look forward to a day when ISPAC will buy space in the papers and publish the names of the accountants they are removing from their roles and membership on account of cooking books. Because the problem that Dr. Margaret Nyakango deals with in county governments is not caused by ordinary people who sell sugarcane and sweet bananas in Suneka. It is caused by accountants, the people who cook books are your members, are the ones who got us all these problems. The challenges that, Mr. Chairman, you pointed out about bending bills in government, the reason why we have a problem with bending bills is because of resources being deployed in an allowable manner, and the people who are doing that are professionals. So the first role that you can play in the effective delivery of government service is by ensuring that the law is followed and ensuring prudent management of the resources that have been entrusted with us. But I think if you resolved as members of this profession that you are going to stand up for your country, for the protection of the resources of your country, we will do a lot better than we have done in the past. Number 2, if you look at the implementation of government projects across the board, I've never had this opportunity, now I will talk about it today. The implementation of national government projects in the country goes well, but a lot of it is hampered by poor contracting, poor advisory services. The contracting is done by professionals. It's in most cases lawyers, in most cases financial experts like yourselves. And I was asking the Auditor General this morning in the holding room, there are contracts I'm sure she has seen, that I have seen, where you ask yourself the question, who on earth would enter into a contract of this kind? If this was your personal business, would you spend resources in this manner? We work very hard to grow the economy. I would like us to build institutional partnerships between ISPAC and government so that we can enhance the capacity of those who provide services in the public sector. Recently, Mr. Chairman, the government has finally established or transformed the National Defense College to the National Defense University. The intention of the National Defense University is to integrate the military experience and the service that has been given at the National Defense College into the professional cadres of public service. I would like to ask you, Mr. Chairman, that one of these fine days we begin discussions with you to see how we can build partnerships between ISPAC and the National Defense University so that the ethos of discipline and integrating a focused and strategic management of resources is also spread to the profession of accounting so that when your members find opportunities in the public service, They understand that every resource we have is a strategic opportunity that must be managed in a strategic manner for us to move forward. From my end and the security sector, the country is safe. Maybe having one or two challenges, they are completely ordinary. We are prepared to support the IEBC to conduct elections. Government does not conduct elections. Elections are conducted by an independent institution called IEBC. Our role is to support that institution, how they guide us, and we are ready to support them. Please let's go forth and exercise our democratic rights to choose the leaders that we desire to have. But as we choose them, let us remember, in my view, the main platform in this country's election this year should be use of resources, integrity, and how we are going to fight the war against corruption if we are going to move forward.
As I come to my closing remarks, to talk on the high cost of living and the need to review our taxes to caution the common man. Since the beginning of the year 2022, food inflation has been the major driver of overall inflation, with fuel inflation taking the second position. The Institute is concerned with the continued increase in prices of basic commodities occasioned by, among others, the current volatility in international oil prices in view of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, supply chain disruptions in the energy sector, and increased prices of agricultural inputs. We urge the government to intervene and set food and fuel price ceiling in the remaining part of the year to caution citizens from the cost-push inflation. On the role of accountants in public financial management, the space in which the modern accountant is working in is changing rapidly and with an intensity that seems unprecedented. Factors reshaping the world, including COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, resource scarcity, geopolitical conflicts, unpredictable emerging markets, aging population with wider inequalities, and huge shifts in corporate and political power, and the increasing pace of digital innovation. And this calls for re-engineering the accountancy profession to meet the needs on an ever-changing environment. It is in the realization of this that the Institute redefined accountants to encompass the emerging fields of specialization and practice. We continue as ISPAC to propose measures henceforth that will strengthen the role of an accountant in these fields, including but not limited to the following: that's strengthening the role of the internal auditor in detection and prevention of fraud and corruption. Number two, we continue to recommend establishment and entrenching of the role of audit committees in the public sector, establishment of a member protection policy, as well as advocate for the enactment of a national whistleblower protection mechanism. And lastly, we recommend the introduction of multiple licensing regime to provide diverse opportunities for our members to practice. Allow me to touch on the post-COVID recovery and the role of the accountant. The global economic projection is clouded by various downside risks, including renewed COVID-19 outbreaks due to Omicron variants, the possibility of the anchored inflation expectations and financial distress in a context of record high debt levels. The pandemic, mismanagement of public resources, and corruption has increased the need for enforcing financial management systems.
National anthem.
Institute, FCPA George Bokua. Today is going to be one after a long while since March 2020, where it's lovely to share this moment and it's wonderful and exciting.
Fighting this war. If you say you support just back in the market, and there was talk of the Eurobond money getting lost. Also, an internal auditor in the Ministry of Health. I'd like to ask your colleagues on the Treasury to let us know, even when we sit here for a week, whether this is true or whether this is. But at KEMSA, when everybody knows, I mean, when you were in school, we feared punishment. We know.
Second question, and we'll be going back to Neil.
That's a comment, because maybe I'm the youngest accountant here, because I'm fighting the exam, so there's no way that exam was cheated. And from the grade they have given me, from that, if whichever grade you give me, I will take the way it is. And if Matiangi, they can say maybe. Dr. Fred Matiang'i. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's give him a big hand.
What are we doing about the whistleblowers? My friends, then we started building the infrastructure to support the whistleblowers, as it were. Protection regime enhanced in this manner, as it were. That's why I like this kind of critical infrastructure that helps in terms of investigation or even in terms of enforcement. We have bungled ourselves. ODPP, if you look at the staff of the ODPP, the DPP professionals, the team that we have just passed out are, doctors. Our police inspectors are professionals in that field, and they move quickly to get the facts that we need. So that is the way we have the law. Then we expect the government to do miracles. Because you see, SRC was not a creation of the SRC, which we cannot walk out of because we are bound by the law. Tried to technologize government services. Mr. Polans is doing in terms of digitalizing land records and so on. What shocked Nunulia was a land, even by that kind of thin language, which has been going on. I feel like I don't want to go through the wars I have gone through. They are also being pressurized by cartels. So, government isn't made of angels.